the Chris Tucker. Oh, Lord.
This is a labor of love for Jay, and as a result, he's my friend. We're here to talk about that and nothing else.
But it's funny though, like, for the longest, you hear this stuff sounded so outlandish, from like Epstein to even the shit with like Pizzagate and Haiti, and you hear like, man, that shit is so dark. There's no way it can be true. And I would be reading this stuff and be like, something like, again, I'll be like, I'm not that much of a conspiracy theorist to be like, they can't really be trafficking little kids and sleeping with them, and and still be billionaires. And I'm like, this is truly Babylon if this is the case. And
they can control Jay-Z and Beyonce.
But not you, man.
But they can't control me. You see, it ain't no name I won't name. Exactly. It's up.
Every single name Katt Williams dropped. The Epstein Files just confirmed them. And the ones he didn't name, they're even worse. Ever. And buried inside those files are names that Hollywood, the music industry, and the political establishment were praying would never see the light of day. Let's start with the one that broke the internet. Jay-Z, Sean Carter, the so-called untouchable mogul. Now here's what the files actually say. According to an FBI crisis intake form, originally filed in 2019, an anonymous victim alleged that back in 1996, she was abducted from her home by an unknown man, drugged, and woke up in a room with Harvey Weinstein and Jay-Z. The victim stated that Weinstein was physically assaulting her while Jay-Z was present. The same victim also named Pusha T as one of her so-called handlers, someone who allegedly built fake friendships with victims to lure them into vulnerable situations. Now, and this is important for credibility, these claims came from FBI tip line submissions, not from Epstein's personal records, not from flight logs, and not from any corroborated law enforcement investigation. The DOJ themselves said that because of the sweeping nature of the Transparency Act, some of the submissions could be, and I quote, fake or falsely submitted. No charges have been filed, no formal investigation was launched based on these tips. But here's why people aren't just brushing this off.
In your thoughts on Donald Trump and what it means for mass incarceration.
You know what? This is a labor of love for Jay, and as a result, he's my friend. We're here to talk about that. And
you saw that, right? The moment someone tried to ask about Jay-Z, the entire energy in the room shifted. Shut it down. Don't go there. Move on. That's not suspicious at all, right? And it gets worse. Because even before these files dropped, multiple receipts were already floating around. There's video, which I can't post here, but it's on Twitter for anyone who wants to find it, showing Jay-Z in a room with another man while two women performed for them. Then there are the photos of him and Weinstein at Diddy's 29th birthday party, looking real comfortable. And remember, Weinstein is now a convicted rapist serving time.
You take people like Jay-Z and Pusha T, they made their living killing our people, so how the f*** they gonna stand up for our people? You know what I'm saying? But we forget that because we love Jay-Z's music so much. We love Pusha's music so much, right? But you think they would ever, Beyonce had the best fit for somebody else? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You think they would ever tell the truth? No, if they told the truth, I think they'd go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So you have liars. Man. Liars are now the face of our culture.
Kanye said this all the way back in 2018. He called Jay-Z and Pusha T liars, said they would never tell the truth. And at the time, people said Kanye was unhinged. Now, that clip hits completely different. But Jay-Z's name in these files isn't even the most disturbing part, because there's a comedian who went even further, accusing not just Jay-Z, but Beyoncé of being connected to the island.
I think it is highly offensive for people who are smart enough to really know what's happening. Look, y'all talk all that about R. Kelly. Beyonce was on that island where they was kids.
Damn!
Beyonce was on Pedo Island. Beyonce and the camel.
Yeah. They said she was in there like, uh-oh.
Right.
I hope I can go see her again.
She was singing and look, if you like it, put your mouth on it. This is what I'm saying. It's like you give her a pass. You give her a pass. She can have a concert and everything after she's a known participant on Pedo Island. It's like people want to dismiss it. That's why you can't tell me nothing about what the media say about nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the media is going to make a bad guy out of whoever they want to be the bad guy.
Now, I need to be clear. There is no verified evidence in the Epstein files placing Beyoncé on Epstein's island. Her name does not appear in the flight logs. But the fact that these accusations are being made publicly and nobody is filing defamation suits, that silence is louder than any denial. Next up, Naomi Campbell. And unlike the Jay-Z situation, this one isn't based on anonymous tips. This is flight logs, hard documentation. Naomi Campbell appears on Epstein's Lolita Express flight logs 5 times between 2001 and 2003. At least 2 of those flights originated from the U.S. Virgin Islands, where Epstein's private island was located. Other flights went to Sao Paulo, Brazil. She was also documented on the 2002 Africa trip, alongside Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, and Chris Tucker. She said
Yes, I knew him. I was introduced to him on my 31st birthday by my ex-boyfriend Flavio. He was always front and center at Victoria's Secret shows.
Did you suspect what he was doing?
No. And what he's done is indefensible. And when I heard of what he'd done, it sickened me to my stomach, just like everybody else. Because I've had my fair share of sexual predators, and thank God that I had good people around me that protected me from this. I mean, right now I stand with the victims. They're scarred for life.
she was sickened when she found out, said she stands with the victims. But here's what she didn't address. Emails found in the files that hint at coordination between her and Epstein, seemingly about shipping records into the country for his parties. The speculation is that the model recruitment was really a pipeline, finding women who could be manipulated, delivering them to these industry figures, and getting funded for it. And people pointed out a fair question. How does a supermodel own an entire island? The modeling money is good, but is it island money? That math doesn't add up for a lot of people. Now let's talk about the one who thought he could lie his way out of this forever. I had dinner with him and that's all. That's what he said. On national television, with a straight face. But the Epstein files tell a radically different story. And did you guys notice his body language and how awkward he suddenly got? Here's what was actually found. 2 draft emails written by Epstein to himself, dated July 18, 2013. In these emails, Epstein, apparently writing from the perspective of someone named Boris Nikolic, who was Gates's then advisor, makes explosive claims. The emails allege that Gates contracted an STD from encounters with Russian women, and then asked Epstein to obtain antibiotics that he could secretly give to his wife Melinda without her knowing about it. Now, critical context. These were drafts Epstein sent to his own email address. There is no confirmation they were ever sent to Gates or anyone else. Gates's spokesperson called the claims absolutely absurd and completely false, and said the only thing these documents prove is that Epstein was frustrated about not having an ongoing relationship with Gates. But here's what we do know for a fact. The New York Times reported back in 2019 that Gates and Epstein began meeting in 2011, after Epstein had already been convicted of soliciting a minor. And in 2021, Melinda divorced Bill, walking away with over $76 billion in assets. She later confirmed that his relationship with Epstein was a factor in their separation.
I think we're having a reckoning as a society, right? No girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all of the various people around him. No girl. I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking, right? I remember being those ages those girls were. I remember my daughters being those ages, right? So for me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage, but I have moved on from that. I purposely pushed it away and I moved on. I'm in a really unexpected, beautiful place in my life. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it, those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
Well,
and I am so happy to be away from all the muck that was there.
I have to put more words to the muck for context for our listeners. The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing. His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right?
Made that clear to him. I also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time.
Did you?
Yes, because I wanted to see who this man was. And I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. He was abhorrent. He was evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterwards. So, my heart breaks for these young women because that's how I felt. And here I'm an older woman. My God, I feel terrible for those young women. It's awful.
You felt that the moment you walked in? I didn't realize that.
He was awful.
Yeah. And you shared that with Bill, and he still continued to spend time with him?
Any of the questions remaining about what Bill's relationship there was, those are for Bill to answer.
Okay.
But I made it very clear how I felt about him.
She said those details caused her unbelievable sadness. And when asked if Gates needs to answer for what's in these files, she didn't hesitate. She said yes. That tells you everything you need to know. Now, Chris Tucker. And this is where Katt Williams really proved he was ahead of the curve. Tucker's name shows up in the Epstein flight logs 7 times. All 7 flights were legs of a September 2002 Clinton Foundation trip across Africa, visiting Ghana, Nigeria, Rwanda, Mozambique, and South Africa for HIV/AIDS awareness. Tucker's defense has always been simple. It was a humanitarian mission. He didn't know whose plane they were on, and he had no idea what Epstein was doing in his private life.
You knew Jeffrey Epstein, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. We flew Bill Clinton and a lot of different, that was a humanitarian trip to Africa. And
Yeah.
I met him on that trip because it was his plane. I didn't know who plane we was getting on, but it was a whole bunch of dignitary people who was with a delegation. And yeah, I met him and you don't know people, what they do in their private lives. So yeah.
But tell me this, Chris. You was on this private plane, and you could tell that it was a private plane because they called it, was it Lolita Express?
Oh yeah, it was a private plane. Yes. Oh yes.
But wait a minute. You didn't never go to that island, did you?
No. I don't know where that thing at.
Watch that clip again. Look at the body language, the stuttering, the nervous energy. He's doing everything in his power to make it seem like no big deal. But people aren't buying it. And here's why. The humanitarian story gets a lot harder to swallow when you realize who else was on that plane. Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, who has since been accused of multiple sexual assaults. And the trip was organized using the private jet of a man who would later be exposed as one of the most prolific predators in modern history. Now, to be fair, one of Epstein's own victims, Shante Davies, who was also on that Africa trip, confirmed it was genuinely focused on humanitarian work. And Tucker has never been accused of any wrongdoing. But Katt Williams said the current version of Chris Tucker isn't the same person we used to know. And when a Friday movie sequel keeps getting brought up but never happens, and Chris seems like a completely different human being, people start connecting dots. Moving on to Ashton Kutcher. And honestly, this might be the most unsettling one on the list. Kutcher has built this public image as a champion against trafficking. He co-founded an organization called Thorn back in 2009, supposedly dedicated to fighting the exploitation of children. Sounds noble on paper, but here's where it falls apart. In 2023, when his close friend and co-star Danny Masterson was convicted of raping 2 women, sentenced to 30 years to life in prison, what did Ashton do? He wrote a character reference letter to the judge calling Masterson a role model with exceptional character. He even said Masterson was one of the few people he'd trust to be alone with his own children. The letter was never supposed to go public, but it leaked. And when it did, the backlash was immediate and brutal. Kutcher and his wife Mila Kunis had to post an apology video on Instagram. But the damage was done. One of Masterson's victims publicly called Kutcher just as sick as his so-called role model. Now people are looking at everything else differently. The Diddy Party appearances, the ties to various industry figures, the fact that he somehow always seems to be adjacent to controversy, but never quite in the center of it. Critics have speculated that his anti-trafficking organization could have served as a cover, though there is no verified evidence of that. The pattern is what disturbs people. It's not one thing, it's everything, stacked together. And then there's Nick Cannon. Now, Nick wasn't on Epstein's island. His name isn't in the flight logs. But what he said publicly is important, because it validated everything Katt Williams had been saying.
This is truly Babylon if this is the case. And so I would never speak out about it too much because I didn't want people to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, there's no way. Like, the fuck is Pizzagate and all of this shit? If somebody told you about the Epstein shit and you'd be like, man, come on now. This billionaire is really taking, and what, because I don't want to fuck it up, but someone that worked for him, even on the child protective services side, was actually snatching those kids that were supposed to be missing kids and providing them to, like, that shit in itself sounds fucking ridiculous.
Nick admitted that, like most people, he thought the stories about these billionaires were too outlandish to be true. Epstein Island, Pizzagate, the Haiti allegations, all of it sounded like conspiracy theory nonsense. But after everything that's come out, he's not putting anything past anyone. And he dropped a detail that most people glossed over, that someone who worked in child protective services was allegedly involved in funneling missing children to these networks. That claim, if true, would be one of the most horrifying aspects of this entire saga. Here's what Katt Williams understood before any of us did. This was never about one person. It was never just about Epstein. It was about a system, a network of powerful people who protected each other, enabled each other, and used their money and influence to make sure the truth stayed buried. And the scariest part? Like one person online put it, it's not the names in the files that should terrify you. It's how many of those people are still walking around untouchable. Katt Williams opened the floodgates. The Epstein Files blew the dam wide open. And now the only question left is, will anyone actually face consequences? Or will the system protect its own, the way it always has? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and hit that subscribe button, because this story is far from over.